Hello, everybody. I hope this is working. Is it working?
I hope so.
I think it is. Well, if for some reason it's not working, just let me know. Anyway, it is Merlin here, live, kind of doing an impromptu, random live stream because I haven't done one in a while, and I don't know. I had the day off today, and I just kind of got back from kind of a busy day, good day, and I don't know. I should probably be working on schoolwork, but I just can't get focused on that right now. I'm probably just gonna, I don't know, just sort of enjoy doing this because I haven't done these in a while. But I wasn't really sure exactly what I was going to talk about, so this is just kind of a hangout Q&A to send in questions. Hey, SJM hats up. Hello, welcome. I don't recognize the name. I don't know if I've ever seen you on any of these before. Are you have you been subscribed long? Did you change your name? And I knew because sometimes people change their name. I don't know. So yeah, well, welcome. Feel free to kind of engage in conversation about random stuff, ask questions. Feel free to like this, share it, spread it around. See if we can get some people in here. I'll if questions are kind of slow, I'll just kind of try and talk about some random news things and things I've been reading or watching or whatever, just to say hi. Oh, that's a good one. What are my thoughts on Robert Pattinson as Batman? Now, it's kind of interesting you bring that up because if you had asked me this question years ago, I might have been like, "Oh man, that guy from Twilight." Oh man, it's like I don't know, but it's actually weird. My girlfriend has actually been kind of randomly going through a couple of his older movies, and he's actually beyond his reputation, I guess, in the Twilight movies. He's actually a pretty good actor. I saw him in this movie called The Lighthouse. It's a really creepy movie with Willem Dafoe. He's a good actor. I think he could pull it off. I think he definitely could look a little bit like Bruce Wayne. I've seen some of those photos, I guess they aired with him in the bat suit. So that could be something. Uh, yeah, I think he could pull it off. I'm not really that worried about him. I'm more worried about what kind of movie would be around him because I feel like with DC, it's kind of been like, more inconsistent in terms of the type of movies they've created. Like, I mean, obviously, there have been some good ones, but I don't know. It's just it's frustrating. It's frustrating. So I have faith in him. I want to see a good script because I mean, with the Justice League movie, that was one of the more disappointing things for me as a comic book fan because I love the Justice League cartoon. I There's some really good comics, and obviously Marvel has just set this huge bar with the Avengers movies, and uh, man, Darkseid is such a great villain. And I was even talking to my girlfriend about it today. I'm going off on a rant here, and I was like, she's like, Darkseid, whatever. He's just a Thanos ripoff. I'm like, no, no, Thanos is a ripoff of Darkseid, but no one's gonna care because Thanos was done much better than he ever was in the comics. And DC, even Justice League, they made Steppenwolf the villain. Like, if you're gonna make the Justice League come together, maybe you can build up Darkseid. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? Answer to your question. I think Robert Pattinson will be fine, but I want to see like what the script's gonna be. I I just hope the movie around it's good. Dan reviews it. What's up, man? What's up? Some of you guys might be watching out there. Know I review movies and have a podcast with this gentleman Dan. Feel free to put his channel in the description. We have been going through some of the Disney movies, some of the Disney classic animated ones. I do some of those with him, and we also talk about old like sitcoms and stuff. We're going through Frasier. If anybody likes Frasier, or Frasier Fridays, which I've been, I think I got past the last season we have to talk about. So I've just gotten to the part where Daphne's mother comes in, the brother comes back, and oh man, if you remember, I loved the Simon character so much. But it's interesting. Right? Hey Dan, what's up, man? You watching one of my streams? What you doing? I was actually going to ask you. You should probably come over. Like maybe next week we can do a podcast or do Frasier or something. So yeah. So yeah, send a question if you have one for me. I guess I don't know. Let me see. Yo, follow up. Did you see that Deb might be playing the Joker? Thoughts? Also, Lighthouse was oh yeah, I liked Lighthouse a lot. I don't think we talked about it a lot in detail. That's Lovecraftian like that. That was really I thought that was a very interesting film. I thought Willem Dafoe was really good too. No. Well, I remember that I believe for Batman Begins, was a lot of casting decisions. I think he was rumored at the time to play the Riddler, which I think with his connections to Tim Burton and that quirky, eccentric, sort of like darker version of the Riddler, I think Johnny Depp would have made a great Riddler. But Joker, Joker would be a interesting choice. I just think we've had so many interpretations of the Joker so quickly. It's like, I mean, I don't know. Do you think Jared Leto could have done okay? Like I don't really people hate on his Joker a lot. And I'm like, he seemed like he didn't deviate that much. I mean, maybe he looked stylistically different. I don't know. But is Depp a little old for the role? I mean, he probably could pull it off. I mean, I think with enough right direction, I think Johnny Depp can do a lot, but I don't know. I could see it, but I don't know if I'd say he's like the best choice. Would people flock to the movie more with him as the Joker? Because it might be one of those things where kind of like with the Michael Keaton Batman, where Nicholson was the primary thing they were advertising. Jack Nicholson is the Joker, drew a lot of people, and some people kind of think he sort of dominated the movie with his personality. But we all know that Michael Keaton did a good job, but it was a little bit kind of undersold in a way. Kind of, but I don't know. We got to see more of him in Batman Returns either way. Keaton's great. So, will Robert Pattinson be better than Michael Keaton, though? I think that's the question we should really be asking ourselves because that's the bar. Him and I guess Adam West in a different sense. But if he goes either direction, if he could top them, that would be really impressive. Oh, you know what? That's a good point. I actually remember him. I first saw him in Goblet of Fire. He played, I think it's Cedric Diggory, and he actually did a good job in that role. That is a good point. It's actually the first time I saw David Tennant too, because he was the villain of that film, Barty Crouch Jr. I did the snake thing. Yeah, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Doctor Who," and I mean, yeah, obviously he was like, I think this is bad, the 10th Doctor. But when I think of him, I always think of Barty Crouch first, and then probably Doctor Who, and then I guess in was it wow, my mind's blanking. Oh yeah, Jessica Jones as the Purple Man. Oh man, he was such a good villain in that. Probably probably the best villain in the Netflix shows. Though I do like the Kingpin a lot. The Kingpin was great. All right, I gotta keep track of this. If Scarecrow was to be villain, who would you? Oh, if Scarecrow was going to be cast, it cast as hmm hmm. That's a good question. Who would I want to be cast as Scarecrow in a Batman movie? Because I do really like the Scarecrow as a villain. I actually thought I think Cillian Murphy did a pretty good job with him. That's a really good question. I'm trying to think of somebody else. A tall, skinny, lanky guy that could kind of be creepy, but it would be, you know what? It would be more about his voice. I think it'd be more about his voice. And I'm kind of thinking, ooh, I've got it. I've got it. Either Robert Englund, I know, is coming back, I believe, to do another Nightmare on Elm Street, I believe. So if I think he could probably still pull off the Scarecrow for certain scenes because I think he's got to actually be Freddy, but they could also use his voice. Also, the guy, and I forget his name, the guy that actually played him in the remake, who was Rorschach in the Watchmen movie, that guy would make a good Scarecrow. Just, I think he could do the performance in the costume, but if it was his voice, especially, and they just get some stunt guy, if he was just, in the Scarecrow costume without seeing his face, because I think that's more important. I think that would be a good voice because I'm just thinking they were similar and kind of like in the Arkham games, they played around with the nightmare sequences. I could see that vibe. So yeah, they kind of basically turned Scarecrow into sort of a Freddy Krueger character, which makes sense. So I really like that direction. I could see either one of those guys. I would like to see as Scarecrow. That would be cool to add a real horror vibe, which they didn't really. They did it okay in Batman Begins, but it was a little corny. And I don't know. I really like the Scarecrow, but he was taken out so easily. And I did like the fact that he was popping up in the other Dark Knight movies, but it was just like little by little. To answer the question, I've been subscribed to you for a while, but I've been quiet. Well, hey, thanks for speaking up. I know that sometimes it's weird now with YouTube these days. If you don't hit the subscription bell, you might not get notified of something. So some people have been subscribed to me for years and they might only see certain videos or they don't see any of my videos, but then they'll see a live stream like this. So I don't know. Well, thanks for joining in. Feel free to share it around. Oh, hello, Sarah. Nice to meet you. SJM Headstock. Is that a reference to anything, or is that just like a random username? That was kind of I think when I made my YouTube account, I just had like a random thing. It was based on like old like mob bosses or something. And people didn't really understand that. And then they gave me the nickname Merlin because it was kind of in the name. So kind of eventually changed. And the subscribers kind of fed into that. So that's how that works. Cedric, yes, good old Cedric. I think Patton Sid is good, but could never top Keaton. Not Dan. I talked to Troll about this on that one podcast, which you have to be on one as well, the Jolo's Movies podcast. And I think Michael Keaton is a great Batman live action, but he is a kind of a different interpretation from how the comics typically are, where he's kind of, a little bit more eccentric. He's kind of weirder as Bruce Wayne. He's not really, traditionally handsome, not really getting to that role. This guy's more obsessed with Batman. You might think something's off with him anyway. He doesn't really care about his secret identity. So I do think Michael Keaton did a great job with Burton at the helm, that sort of relationship. But as a more traditional Batman, Robert Pattinson could be good, but I don't know if he'll ever top Michael Keaton for me either. Total Whovian here. Oh, really? Who's your favorite doctor? Sarah, who's your favorite doctor? Robert Englund. Yeah, good choice. Jackie Earl Haley. Thank you. Jackie Earl Haley. I'm sorry. I always forget his name. Jackie Earl Haley. That guy. Okay. Give him credit. Give him props. Jackie Earl Haley. Yes, he was great as Rorschach. I do think he would be a good one. Yes, sorry. Jackie Earl Haley, Robert Englund, both those guys. Oh, okay. So your full. Oh, okay. Cool. So there's some of your actual names in there. All right. Cool. Anime hero. Anime hero, the great anime hero. Yes. You want to talk about longtime subscribers. Anime hero. Hey man, how's it going? I've been seeing you've been putting up what's the name of the North Star game you've been playing? Because I've been seeing you've been uploading a lot of that lately. Did that. You did some Transformers, some Sonic. And I like how your one post is like, I'm not becoming a gaming channel. And then I'm like, it's more gaming, more gaming. Like, I don't know. Maybe Hero's gonna just be doing some streaming. I don't know, for some gaming. Hey, I mean, that's what a lot of people are doing. So that'd be cool. Just do like a lot of anime games and Sonic and stuff. 10th Doctor and 11th. Okay, David Tennant's good. A lot of people, he's their favorite. You got to tell me why he's your favorite. I really like Matt Smith too. Matt Smith was really good. I like how, I mean, I guess they're all eccentric, but I really like the storylines for Matt Smith because everything they did was just epic and everything was trying to top itself. And it was all the different villains and all these old references and everything was just like so many ridiculous things happened in 11's time. I really like 9. I really like Christopher Eccleston though. I wish he'd been in the seasons more because he's such a good doctor and his one season is still some of the best in New Who. But I feel like I think people know this and he's very important because if that run had not been so good, we wouldn't have David Tennant. We wouldn't have Matt Smith. But I think he gets overshadowed because, well, there's just only one season. Everybody has so many more. But Ninth Doctor, I really like. How do you feel about the Ninth? The Batman 89 chat was great. Oh, thanks, man. I'm gonna try and do more podcasts like that for like I want to try and do the Joe Loves Movies, kind of like edited scripted videos, but I'm like, well, those movies that might not quite make the top of the list right now that I don't feel like as a priority to make videos for, I'll get some podcasts and if I can get some guests on to talk about some things like, for instance, like RoboCop, if I could get you or Dead or somebody like I would like to do that. Except RoboCop is probably going to get its own video, but actually I wanted to talk to you guys about that because I kind of wanted you guys to help with that, but I got a couple more videos to do her, but I'll probably in a couple months, I'll probably put RoboCop in the poll and I'll get that as a priority. Cause I got to do a video about RoboCop. It's like, I try to make these videos short and concise. Like I'm just trying to say, okay, I really like this because of this, but then I'm like, I could talk about this a lot longer, but that defeats the point. So anyway, thank you, man. I really liked the 89 one. I know that Troll's going to be on for a couple more. The problem is, if it's movies that I really like, that are at that point, I'm going to make the main videos. But I'm like, okay, so the thing is, if I know somebody else likes this movie more, but I like it too, but not quite enough, that's how I try to align the guests. So That's like, I know I got a couple people that want to do Back to the Future, because Back to the Future, for instance, is a movie that I really like and I think it's very good. But is it like one of my personal favorites? So I want anybody to know that if I do a podcast on one, it's still in the Jolo's movie. It's still like, I obviously really like it, but I'm like, I want to prioritize with the main videos first. So it could get a video down the line. It's just that was, I made the list of about like 50 or so that I want to make videos on. It's like, oh man, I already got plenty. So anyway, you've seen Sonic. Oh, did you like it? I heard actually Dan told me that he watched it, and I think we talked about it on a recent podcast, and I still didn't see it. I'm gonna see it eventually. I got a lot of movies to catch up on, but I heard it was good. You tell me if you liked it, man. You said it was good. Were there any good references to things or a possibility for sequels? Dan wouldn't spoil it for me, but like, are there any references to Knuckles? That's all I want to know. And I by the way, I felt bad because in the podcast I couldn't remember. I was like, what am I talking about? The gems. Did they have gems? I meant the Chaos Emeralds. What I meant to say were the Chaos Emeralds. Do the Chaos Emeralds factor into the movie at all? Were there any references? So that was the question I forgot to ask Dan, but I was blanking on like, wait, I remember the gems. Why couldn't I remember the Chaos Emeralds? And now I'm like, duh, that's what they are. Anyway, Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. That's right. Looks cool. Speaking of Sonic, have I seen the movie? No, I have not. But I it's one that's on the list. There actually aren't that many movies this year that I'm really excited to rush out to see. Like there are a lot of ones that kind of interest me, but actually, there's a bunch of movies that I was thinking about seeing soon that are getting pushed off because of this whole sickness scare thing. There's a couple like Quiet Place 2. I was like, oh, I'm going to see that. No. James Bond. No. I'm like, well, all these movies are getting pushed back, and I'm like, well, and then I'm looking through the rest of the year, and like, there's a couple I'm interested in, like Black Widow. I'll definitely see Wonder Woman. But there's not most of the movies I really want to see are like in November, December. So maybe I'll catch up with Sonic and some older ones before then. Probably movies from the last year or two I got to catch up on. It looks like many movies are. Yep. I saw that. I was like, and I was actually supposed to go and do some panels at this little anime convention in Lancaster, Zenkagon. I was going to do them, and I was all excited. I was going to do one about Godzilla and about Star Trek. I'm okay. I haven't done a panel in a couple years, and they canceled it. And they canceled the Four State Comic Con in Maryland. And I was like, wow, like these are all good. These conventions are all getting closed. I'm like, movies are getting delayed. Like, oh man, people are really not messing around. This was like, oh. Anyway, yeah, Quiet Place 2, Mulan, Fast and Furious. Yep, I saw that. 007. I'm like, no, I heard Black Widow's not being pushed. Now, but please, that Black Widow's like the one I'm most looking forward to in the next couple months. It's the only one I'm like, I'll go out and see it. You know, other people might want to see it with me. I'll probably do a video for it on my channel. Like, it's a movie that I'm like, yes, I'm actually kind of excited for it. Please don't push that one off. And Wonder Woman's in June. Come on, people. Like, ironically, the two movies in the next couple months, probably some of my most anticipated for the year, are both big female lead superhero movies. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever been able to say that before. That's awesome. So I hope they're both good. I have faith in both of them. Someone actually asked me, my girlfriend was like, so if they're actually going to make the Black Widow movie now, does that mean that there's a possibility they might somehow reboot it so that she isn't dead anymore, so she can get more movies or a show? And I'm like, I hope so, because I think it just seems really weird that after the fact, after her characters died, because people have been saying, oh, let's get Black Widow movie now. It's almost like after like that end of an era that was sort of the end of sort of the general plan for Marvel. It's like, I don't know. It's a weird. I hope it's just more than just an afterthought, because we have to get emotionally invested. And if we know she's already going to be dead, what are they going to do? So Black Widow, I am excited about. I hope they don't push that one off. That's like in May. That's like over a month. Come on, guys. 2021 now be the best year in movies. If things keep getting pushed off, probably. I've seen former Doctor Who actors and Hannibal Lecter actors play in Marvel movies like Matt Mickelson and Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, that's the thing. That's kind of the joke, is that everybody wants to be in a Marvel movie, and literally, even if it's just a reference. That's right. Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen was the villain in Doctor Strange, if I remember correctly. Great movie. And Anthony Hopkins had a reference in Thor Ragnarok, where not a reference. He was Odin. He was Odin, and that, oh man, when that first Thor movie came out, man, when you get Anthony Hopkins to play Odin, you know, uh, talking about like gravitas. Well, it also was directed by a Shakespearean director. It was Kenneth Branagh. He added that drama, that intensity of bonds of family and revenge and all that. The first Thor movie was a big surprise. Like when, in all honesty, I mean, I think Iron Man really definitely was kind of unsuspecting for people because he wasn't such a big hero with this huge fandom behind him. But for me, but I thought people kind of always liked Iron Man. He was always kind of cool in the 90s. He had that cartoon, I am Iron Man, you know. But Captain America and Thor, I mean, I liked those characters fine, but they were never my favorites. And to make those characters who were always a little cheesy so cool, to make those costumes look so good. Yeah, that first Thor movie, really, I think in a weird way set the bar for me. Like, wow, these silly comic book characters can be on the big screen and look cool and really, I don't know, be taken seriously, but also so be bright and colorful and sort of silly. It's just a really cool balance. Marvel formula. We all know how it is. Uh, Crazy Boy 190. Sup to you as well. Hello. Sonic is a good movie, Hero says. Definitely room for sequels. I want more. I just want more Sonic stuff in it. Most of it is comedy. Yes, the beginning move involves the echidnas. Yes. 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 Okay, good. Don't tell me more. I will watch it eventually. Will. Um, I've heard nothing but good things about this movie from everybody. So, okay, so you want more Sonic stuff. I heard there was a lot of references. But I guess you think it's still more focused on like the humans. Is it kind of like a Transformers thing where it's like, or Bumblebee rather, where there's a good feel of Sonic, but it's not enough. You just want kind of more of a pure Sonic movie. How is Jim Carrey in it actually as Dr. Robotnik? Because does he ever get, more like Eggman, a little bigger, a little more round? That's the real question. Uh, Sonic is not awful, but there's certainly a lot more jokes than action. Okay, not enough action. Plenty of Sonic speed, but hope the sequel acts more like Sonic games. Okay, interesting. I'm more interested in the new Venom movie. Venom, because of Carnage being the villain in it. I remember seeing the Iron Man cartoon in Disney. Am with his mullet. Oh man, like I watched a little bit of it. It was fine. It was cool. I remember that they actually pulled out the stops and had a lot of his different villains in there, and they had I think they had the 10 rings and everything. I don't know if they have Fing Fang Foom in that. I don't know. But yeah, Iron Man cartoon was cool. I've actually been going back and rewatching the Spider-Man animated series, and I'm thinking about maybe doing maybe like a podcast series of episode reviews on that or something, because that's a show that I think gets overshadowed a lot by Batman the Animated Series and X-Men, and it's a good show. It's a really good show, and for me, that's really is like pure Spider-Man. So, yeah, the Iron Man show I don't think was ever as good as that one or X-Men, but it was decent. I might have to go back and watch it and actually really watch the whole thing. The Hulk show was pretty good too in the 90s. Didn't get enough episodes though. Okay, Carrie does sure go Eggman, goes full Eggman. Awesome. I believe it. I believe it. It's very kind of because he always had that over the top cartoony element to his comedy, very physical, as with the Mask and Ace Ventura and stuff. So, kind of one of the things he's obviously best known for. And he really, really gets into his characters, whether it's comedy or drama, because Jim Carrey's just like that. He's just, I think, that talented. So, yeah, I could totally believe it. I thought that was funny because those are the two things, because them going back and listening to the fans and going back and trying to be true to the design of Sonic because people were so infuriated and offended because they felt so passionately about it. I was glad that the studios cared, at the very least, the animation department cared and said, hey, we don't feel comfortable releasing this. We can do more. We can do better. The fans don't think this is right. Let's take that into account. And I think that's a big reason, even without seeing the movie, why it was so successful. But I think Jim Carrey is the other element. I think Jim Carrey being Dr. Robotnik seems like a really good decision. And it sounds like it. So I hope there's sequels. Glad the echidnas are part of it. Let's see. You see more of his Eggman's. That's what Dan said. Okay. Yep. Jim Carrey is great. You see his Eggman side towards the end. There's a couple of references and setups sequel, but it needs more. Two Sonic songs played in the film, but only for a few seconds. Oh, I mean, like the classic, like from the different levels, the different zones. Okay, I'm gonna have to keep my ear out because I'm not like I played the Sonic quite a bit. I liked Sonic when I was a kid, but I wouldn't say that I was like die hard enough of a fan to say that like I played all the games or could tell you all of them. But to be honest, like most things video game related, I feel like it's the cartoon spin-off sort of thing that gets me in. Like I like Sonic Sat AM, that and the show, the two Sonic the Hedgehog shows from the 90s I really liked. So that combined with the games, I think I played this first one. I know I played them all because I had the collection, but I think Sonic 3 was my favorite, and I really like Sonic and Knuckles too, obviously. Before the MCU, people didn't care as much for Iron Man. Yeah, why is that? The character seems pretty relatable. That's a good question. Well, I'm all right. Well, Iron Man is a very well. It's like all the Marvel characters that Stan Lee created. They're all very human, very relatable. That's kind of their strength. But Iron Man was kind of apparently meant to be that character that represented the military industrial complex. I actually just watched a documentary about Stanley the other day, so this is kind of fresh in my mind. Great person, and he maybe that's kind of something that he actually said he made that character to kind of mess with the hippies and the anti-government kind of sentiment at the time, trying to say I'm going to make a character they like. So Iron Man was popular, but I just feel I don't think it's because he was unpopular because he was unlikable or any cooler. It's just that I think that in Marvel with the comics, Spider-Man has always pretty much been the guy. Like Spider-Man is the most relatable, and they would push for that for whatever reason. He had like a really diverse group of villains, and he had a lot of okay. And Spider-Man was more relatable than say Iron Man because okay, Iron Man has his issues like, alcoholism and, kind of trying to give back to people. He almost died and reevaluated his life. So there is that, yes, but he still was kind of the rich guy. He still had a lot of the tools at his disposal. He was handsome, he was a lot more like Bruce Wayne in that sense. So Spider-Man got sick. He had trouble with his bills. He didn't know what to do with himself. Props worried about Aunt May. He didn't have, didn't have money. People didn't like him. He had all these issues that I think seemed a lot more down to earth and was kind of closer to maybe Stan Lee's life for his inspiration, for his experiences. So I'm sure he channeled some of that into Iron Man, but the truth is because Spider-Man was more relatable and because Marvel pushed it and maybe he was easier to market towards kids and he had better villains, combination of things, Spider-Man was the guy. You got Hulk. And then I think in the 90s, X-Men for a while were like the hottest selling comics. So just for a while, I think Iron Man's just one of those characters that kind of got shoved under because Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Ant-Man, and the Wasp, and the Vision, Scarlet Witch, they were all in the Avengers. Like the Avengers was kind of like its own thing. And the Avengers was its own thing. And Spider-Man just kind of was this great central character for everyone to focus on. So I think Iron Man just got lumped in as a team character. So there wasn't enough spotlight on him. That's why I think that happened. But ironically, because they had the rights to Iron Man, they could say, all right, we got to put everything into this movie, and it worked. And now Iron Man is arguably the most popular character, at least for general movie-going audiences. I mean, it's funny because when I was younger and things were a lot closer to the comics or the cartoons or maybe some video games, that's all you had. I feel like the debate would have been much closer to, oh, who's your favorite Marvel character? Oh, Spider-Man, maybe Hulk, maybe one of the X-Men. But now, because of the exposure of the movies, I think that conversation is a lot more interesting, especially for people that didn't grow up with the comics. They know primarily the movies. A lot of people say, hey, my favorite character is Cap, my favorite character is Thor, Hulk, Iron Man. I hear that a lot. Like, so it's kind of cool to see that. Actually mixes it up. Oh man, I got questions here. I got to answer. All right. You guys are really answering. Okay. I remember him mostly from the 90s animated series of Spider-Man, and Fing Fang Foom was an Iron Man. Yep. Foom. Oh, Fing Fang Doom. Wouldn't surprise me if Dr. Doom controlled Fing Fang Foom. And there was like an armored Fing Fang Foom. I'm sure there's a comic. I mean, if it hasn't happened, it could happen, right? Doctor Doom needs to get a movie though. Definitely, Doctor Doom needs a movie. The best thing to me is how good Sonic looks. His expression, his movement. It's like seeing the Ninja Turtles for the first time in 1990. Now, that's a movie that I got to do a video on, man. That's just, oh, that's probably a good example. So you're comparing it to that level of just translation onto screen, like just feels like the character. Oh, like that's a good compliment because TMNT 1990 is good. You want to talk about one of the best comic book movies ever made? That one I think is getting more appreciation, but original Ninja Turtles movie, good movie. Good movie. Probably better than anyone thought it had the right to be back then, especially considering, the comics were obscure and weird and cartoon was like really silly. That movie found a good balance. And the Turtles, not only do they look so good, but just the fact that they performed those stunts, those choreography in those clunky costumes and made it look good. I mean, that's awesome. That's just really good stuff. The only problem with the behind the scenes of Sonic is the animation studio shut down to the crunch time and other projects. Oh, before or after the movie? I hope they didn't shut down after this. They were like, okay, we're out and we don't have any money. We can't afford to have anybody work for us anymore. I'd hope everybody would get jobs after that kind of commitment, unless the studios didn't like it and said, you. But then the studio would have to sign off on it. So I don't know. Say that. Okay. What? You think I'm boring? What? Emily Fox doesn't like me. Okay. Well, geez, I'm boring. All right. Whatever. Let's see here. What makes Doctor Doom so popular exactly? Uh, what makes Doctor Doom so popular? Uh, wow. Here I don't know if I have a good analytical answer for you, man. Sometimes I think you know what I think? Okay, you know why I like Doctor Doom and why I think he is so enduring as a popular villain? I think with him, it's about simplicity. Sometimes it is good to have your megalomaniacal, egotistical, power mad guy. He's simple. His name, Doom's in his name. There's a great visual. So I think there's simplicity there. But maybe I could retract that and say all right. I think Doctor Doom is great because there's a lot of simplicity in his design and what you know about him generally that hooks you in. But he's also got a lot of great ambitions. I think he's a character driven by ambition and thinks that what he's doing is right, even though it might not necessarily be that. And I think a lot of people might be able to relate to that. And I think that there's some sympathy to Doctor Doom as well. Uh, uh, we can kind of see like, okay, everybody else, and it's also that other side, right? Like these heroes have these things happen to them. They have to kind of adjust to that. But this other guy has similar things happen to him and kind of gives into revenge. It's something people can kind of see somebody turning to. So maybe that's what keeps it interesting. And actually, I think I discussed this with Gimli randomly. I think it was Gimli or Troll saying like, why could Doctor Doom get his movie? Why would that be good? And I think it's also because he controls a country. And what other big Marvel villain has their own nation? And you have to deal with kind of like international issues, like kind of a more naturalistic way for world conquest. Like when Doctor Octopus says he wants to control the world, you're like, is that just like your thing this week? Like what is that really your goal? Like Doctor Doom's more methodical. He's not really insane. He kind of sometimes just does his own thing, and he might do his own thing and be completely controlling and being a dictator in another country, and the heroes might not necessarily be able to do anything about it right away because he's a leader of another country. So that kind of adds another bit of complexity you don't often see in superheroes because, oh, they're just criminals and we just fight crime to protect people. But this is like another country, another level of society, So I think there's a couple different reasons actually that people like him. Remember when you even barely were familiar with Guardians before? Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, like that's Guardians of the Galaxy I mean, it's still one of my favorite Marvel movies to this day. Both of them. I think they're both really good, and I, I feel like a lot of times, I think a lot of times on my channel the last couple years, it's kind of been like this soundboard of praising everything that Marvel Studios has done, because I think it's amazing, and just being really sad about Warner Brothers and DC. It's just, I feel like that's like generally what my channel has become. And I always try to not go there. I don't want to talk. I mean, I like praising Marvel, but I don't want to talk about that much. And I don't want to talk about hating DC movies. Like I love the comic. It's just, it's like, oh man, it's not even that I'm sad about it. Like I wish I could say something different about it. Like just kind of like, well, I mean, I liked Joker, but I wasn't really blown away by it. You know, it's just Taxi Driver. It was Taxi Driver with the Joker. And that was cool. The whole movie was a Scorsese reference, which I appreciated with the Joker. It was artistic and interesting commentary on things. I was cool, but I'm just like, it's not even what I really wanted. It's a comic book movie, so I don't know. Anyway, you can't say you can't please me. I mean, I'm open minded to things. I like people trying new things, but it would be kind of cool to honestly see DC just do what Marvel did. At this point, superhero movies probably aren't going away for a while. They could probably do it, but they're just going to try different kinds of movies and whatever. It's fine. You don't know his appeal? Yeah, I think that those are my reasons for Doctor Doom's appeal, but do you like him or do you not really like Doctor Doom? Gunder Muffin, hey, what's up? Welcome. Send in questions. Talking about movies and comics and stuff and other things. Video game adaptations and no anime questions yet. No anime or manga questions yet, which surprises me. Let's see. Sarah asks, oh wait, movies really make obscure titles into household names. That's how you learned about Watchmen. I remember I read Watchmen in high school. That was kind of when I was going through my phase of getting really into comics and like, ooh, comic books can be cool and interesting and adult. And I remember I discovered Watchmen, I think like a year or two before the movie came out. And I was like, yeah, I'm one of those fans that knows about the comic before the movie came out. I'm so cool. And as far, but whatever. I was really happy with the movie. I like Watchmen a lot. The only thing I really wish that they had was the giant squid. Like I want the giant squid alien monster. I feel like they could have had that, and it could have been the same ending. They didn't. I don't know why they changed it. Like everything else was, just make it a giant alien thing. And okay, yeah, I made it, but whatever. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. So I like the movie. I didn't watch any of the show, which I've heard is sort of like a sequel more to the comic than the movie. But I don't know. I don't have HBO anymore, so after Game of Thrones ended, I kind of was like, like everybody else, it just seems to Game of Thrones best thing ever. Now it's just out of consciousness. Let's see. Villains don't need to be deep to be good. They can be simple, like how Carnage only wants to kill people. Speaking of, he's always been a cannibal. Has he always been a cannibal? Is that how he is in the comics now? I haven't read too many recent Spider-Man comics. I'll get back to your Carnage thing in a second, Sarah, but because I do want to talk about Carnage because this is related. I promise. I'm following up on questions. Just give me a second. I go off on tangents. It's been a while. Forgive me. Just like it, share it, spread it around. Get people in here. Merlin live stream. Anyway, I'm not super up to date on recent comics. I don't know if Carnage has always been a cannibal, but I remember that when I was a kid, when Carnage was first being created, Carnage was a serial killer. And you're right, he's never been a very deep villain, and sometimes that's fine. You can have that's the scary thing, is you don't understand the guy. And he's a serial killer, but he's got the Venom symbiote. He's more powerful, he's more dangerous, and he was just like, he's the Joker, but with even more superpowers. And he always created he formed his hands into like piercing weapons, kind of like the T1000 and T2, and he'd like slash people. I remembered him in the 90s. He just like tore people up, and he didn't really eat people. I think that was more Venom's thing. But Carnage, actually, it's funny. The first comic that I don't know if it's the first comic I ever read or the one that I brought in for show and tell. I don't know if I've ever told this story, but I think it's the first comic I ever bought, or my mom bought it for me. I think I was like 6 or 7, and I was going to kindergarten, and we had show and tell. And it's the first comic I ever had. Really, the first comic ever, a Spider-Man comic, was during, I think, Maximum Carnage, and it was like basically Carnage was on the run, and he was in an institution, and it was just Spider-Man and this other guy trying to escape. And and then Carnage like kind of gets the symbiote like goes down into this drain and escapes, and oh man, it was creepy. Uh, it was quite creepy. But I remember showing that, like, I wanted to show it in show and tell, and the teachers were like, "No," because this is like that was the '90s comics. Like I was a kid reading it. There's this really violent, depraved stuff. So yeah, I know about Carnage quite well. Carnage is an interesting time, and that's actually been one thing I've been doing. And I was thinking about turning that into a possible series of videos too, where I go back and kind of read random issues that I picked up, but without context. So I'm kind of like re-exploring these old comics, but isolated from those storylines because I thought that'd be interesting. And they're mostly comics from the '90s. It was kind of an interesting exercise. I was able to find most of them online because of Comic Vine, which is a great resource if you want to find old comics and storylines and different appearances. It's really good. But yeah, it mostly was Spider-Man. It was like mostly Spider-Man. There was one Godzilla comic and one Sonic comic. Actually, I was able to track down, and I'm probably gonna track down again because I lost the list. I was like, darn it. But yeah, Carnage is intense. Let's see. I'm gonna do a couple versions for you here. Okay, ready? Did I say that right? Versions. I don't know if they came out right. Do a couple versions of that for you. Practice voice acting. Ready? This is my favorite. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? It's actually not my favorite. I always liked, you ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? Bam! When I got glasses, would you? Michael Keaton is the best. That Batman was insane. I don't care. You killed my parents. You made me. You made me first. I made you. Oh man. I'm an artist. You know, I'm the world's first fully functional homicidal artist. Oh, oh, this isn't good. He's been using Brand X. Love that Joker. You are my number one guy. Quotable. Like you want to talk about a quotable movie? Definitely. Yeah. How do you feel about Batman Returns though, Hero? Because that one might be getting a future video, as you know, from me. Because I always like that one a little more. Don't know if I have a good reason why. I just really like the atmosphere, the stylistic nature of it. And I feel like we get more Batman, we get more Batman, more to do, more exploring his character, but we'll talk about that later. Brand X. Oh, let's see. Not familiar with the Eternals. You're excited with that? Okay. I'm not going to lie to you. I am only kind of familiar with the Eternals. I read one comic with them, and if you're familiar with like the new gods from DC, like Darkseid, Highfather, all that stuff, or like Neil Gaiman's Eternals, like Sandman, it's like that. They're like sort of the gods, the most powerful ancient beings of Marvel. So they're really interesting. They come to Earth and they have to kind of deal with that sort of way of being. And it's I read one comic and I really liked it, but it was a long time ago. I don't remember it. I just remember liking it. I was like, I never really was like a huge Guardians. It's actually, I guess I knew more about Eternals than I did about Guardians, come to think of it. But let's put it this way: if it's like more cosmic stuff, and it's probably going to be great. I mean, I'm not like super excited for it because it's kind of like it's not a character that I really care about or know as much about that group, but I'm sure it's going to be good. Like I'm more interested in Black Widow because I know her and I want to see what they'll do with her, but I'm sure Eternals will be good. I'm sure it'll like come out and people are like, oh, this is the best thing. I'm sure it's be fine. But if it didn't do well for some reason, I wouldn't be worried about it, So I'm just looking forward to the next Spider-Man movie, whatever that is. And Venom 2, I guess, because I didn't really like Venom that much. Like I was fine. It was fine, but I just want Venom to be a villain. I saw the Morbius trailer finally, and I was talking to somebody about it today. It looks incredibly mediocre. It looks like your basic generic superhero movie from like years ago. Let's see. Actually, action figures have also informed me about obscure characters such as Sugar Man from the X-Men from the Age of Apocalypse. Sugar Man's a weirdly designed character. Yeah, I remember him. He's like a fucking walking ball with sunglasses or something. Age of Apocalypse is weird. That was another big X-Men storyline back in the day. I love Carnage and Scarecrow. Scarecrow is my Facebook profile picture, and Cletus Cassidy's my cover page. Wow, you have some interesting choices in villains. They're good choices. I always really liked Scarecrow. Probably my favorite Batman villain. I also really like Two-Face, Joker, of course, Mr. Freeze. I mean, Batman's got a lot of great ones. Carnage was, I think, whoa, my mic fell. Carnage is, Carnage is still like, Carnage used to be one of my favorite villains when I was younger, but see, I was weird. Like when I grew up reading comics in the 90s, it was like I was exposed to a lot of the stuff in the 90s, which was a lot of Carnage and a lot of like really intense, like more violent, edgy graphic sort of stuff that they pushed into everything. But I also kind of went back and got these old like black and white collections of the early Stan Lee stories. So I always really liked the classic 60s villains like Doc Ock and Vulture, Scorpion, Chameleon, all the animals. Like I really liked all those guys a lot. Like, Kingpin, all the old mobster guy. I liked a lot of that stuff. Mysterio, so Shocker, Electro. I love. I think Spider Man just has like one of the most like eclectic groups of villains. Carnage is, but for me, it's always like I like all the 60s and 70s stuff, and then I also like Venom and Carnage, and that's about it. Like I like them. They're like those two outliers. Like, yeah, like all the villains are the same. And they'd have like these random ones sprinkled in that never really quite worked as well. But Venom and Carnage have stuck around. So I will admit I always like Carnage better than Venom. I admit Venom's a better written villain, he's a better arch enemy, but I always thought Carnage was more fun. He's got more powers, he had more interesting visual design, and obviously that weird connection with that first comic I read. So yeah, that was an intense one. Wow. Comments are coming in. Okay. Classic Bat Dance by Prince. Yes, Bat Dance. And I also really I love how all right, here's a question for you, Dan. Here's a question. And maybe it doesn't matter, but do you think, because I know that the Prince aspect is one of your favorite things about the movie. One of the cool things about Batman, the animated series, which kind of was heavily influenced in a lot of ways stylistically by that film, was that it's kind of got this like new wall time. You've got elements of the 40s and 50s, but it's kind of futuristic. You can't really place it. Does the Prince soundtrack date it? And if it does date it, is that a bad thing or a good thing? Honestly, could that be a detriment? Probably going to be like, no, it's Prince. What are you talking about? Doesn't matter. Party Man. Now that's my favorite when they go into the museum and start wrecking stuff. Party Man. That one and the what is it? What is the song they did during the parade? Actually, when he's throwing all the money, I forget what song that is by Prince, but that's a good one too. Black and white, red and green. See, it's like Batman and Superman and Joker. Ha! See what he did there. He knew about the style. He knew about the plot. Batman Returns does have more Burton-ish qualities with the circus, but Penguin is a lot more vulnerable, yet sicker. Kidnapping children in the sewers. A penguin is a bird that cannot fly. I am a man. Yes. Yeah, I think okay. Oh, all right. I maybe that's why. I definitely like the atmosphere. It's full on Tim Burton. He definitely was able to do his whole thing. Uh yeah, I think maybe that's why I think Danny DeVito truly transformed in that movie because of the makeup and because of his performance. And I think he's a more complex villain. I do feel when I was a kid, I always felt sympathy for him. I felt bad for him. As I've gotten older, there is some of that, but I'm also like, he is depraved. Like, Joker is evil. And I think that Jack Nicholson's a great actor. He is a great actor, one of my favorites. But he knew they were going to call him because he could easily slip in that role. I don't think it was much of a stretch for him to play the Joker because they even call him Jack. You know what I mean? Like they kind of almost based around his eccentric personality. I think Danny DeVito showed how dynamic he was by playing that version of the Penguin, which is not accurate at all, but this really creepy guy who kidnaps and murders children. Okay. Joker was evil. The Penguin is on another level. Okay. and also the complexity of like being a band. Like I think there's more going on with the Penguin, and I think the Penguin in that movie and Catwoman. I do think, I mean, it is over the top still, but I think they have the threat of almost topping Batman in that movie, but Batman has a lot more to do too. Like, so I think there's also Christopher Walken. I'll make a video on it, and I'll give you more clear answers eventually. Man, this RoboCop, I got movies. I got like two other ones. I think I got like Alien next and Princess Mononoke are like the ones coming up. I got another flamethrower. I got videos to make, man, and no time as usual. Party man. I would play the music, but I'd probably get like taken down by copyright, and it wouldn't be Prince's fault. I don't know why. That's what makes me laugh. Let's see. Have I watched SpongeBob, the cartoon or the movie? All right. If you had asked me this years ago, I would have been snobby and said, "Oh man, SpongeBob, I don't like that." But I've actually learned SpongeBob has a lot more going on with it, and I like there's just a lot of creativity. When I was a kid in those early seasons, I think there was probably some classic SpongeBob stuff, but I've seen some of it. I'm behind. I kind of liked that movie they made a couple years ago where they came into the real world and they were 3D for a while. I enjoyed that one. I watched that for Film Fanatics, my old podcast. Check out on Dan's channel. I'll put a link in there if you want to watch us talk about old Disney movies and stuff. Watch some of our old podcasts. I think I liked that SpongeBob movie, though I never saw the original one, where I believe Plankton wants to steal the Krusty Krab's recipe. It's kind of one of those things. Like I feel like there's probably a lot of fun. I feel like SpongeBob kind of was like another one of those shows that elevated the cartoons into the strange era they have of crazy little things that cartoons always do, but also being watchable for adults. I don't know, but I haven't watched a lot of it, but I know enough. I really always liked Squidward a lot. Squidward was probably my favorite character. I related a lot to Squidward many days. Oh man, SpongeBob, what are you doing? I'm just trying to get to work. I want to go to sleep. I know that's a terrible Squidward impression, but that's the best I got. I think I could do SpongeBob or Patrick, but it would become more annoying or potentially offensive, and I don't want to do that. That's not my goal. Catwoman has a gritty quality with her stitched costume, which can come off as a bit gimpish. Yeah, kind of an S&M vibe, but there's something really sexy. Stacey's. Have you ever heard the band? And I'll admit I don't know the band very well, but their bassist did join Metallica after it was Robert Trujillo, and that was after Jason Newsted left, and that was like in 2003. And he was the bassist for Ozzy after he left Suicidal Tendencies, dropping some rock knowledge on you out of nowhere. Had nothing to do with your comment, but yeah, that version of Catwoman also not very accurate to the comics, but I don't care. I think Michelle Pfeiffer did a great job. Great Catwoman. Honestly, I like that version of Catwoman better than the animated series one. Like I've seen some version of Catwoman that I've liked. I think mostly some of the comics I've read of her, like her portrayals in Long Halloween. I really like them in Hush. Some of the more recent portrayals of her I've really liked, but I didn't like her that much in the animated series. I remember I didn't like her episodes that much, and she was fine, but I don't know. I really did enjoy that tragic torn character, kind of like this feminist strong woman thing, but taken to the darker edge, like she's been pushed to the edge. There's probably a lot of backstory we get little hints of. I great performance. I think kind of echoes the damaged personalities of all the people in that movie. All kind of those personalities clashing. So yeah, suicidal tendencies. I don't know why my mind went there. Kenny, welcome. How dangerous is Sentinel in comics from X-Men because he's broken in Marvel versus Capcom? Are you talking about like the main Sentinel units? I believe, yeah. From one of my vague memories of playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I remember that he was one of those more broken characters. A Sentinel is scary. If you run into a Sentinel, it's a problem. But the problem is that there are many Sentinels, which is a big issue. I want to say they're dangerous, but then I remember that you're dealing with the X-Men. So in the context of those heroes, Sentinels are dangerous, but still pretty disposable. They're a threat. But if you watch the X-Men animated series, Wolverine's cutting through him, Cyclops is blasting through him, Storm zapping him. So I mean, like they're they're dangerous, but I feel like they can be taken out pretty easily, except by Jubilee, who always had to resort to trickery. I know people hated on her, but like she had to get creative with how she took down Sentinels. Yes. So they're dangerous in the comics. They're dangerous. I think that Nimrod was probably the most dangerous, the one from the future. He was like indestructible. Oh, Master Mold. He was the guy. Master Mold was my favorite. Master Mold, what are you doing? You were supposed to protect the world, humans from mutants. What are you doing? We're not mutants. We're not a threat. It's like negative. Mutants are human. Therefore, humans must be protected from themselves. Dark, insightful. Was Master Mold onto something? Great combination of a cheesy villain, but some more big ideas there. Some introspective stuff there. It's why great quality cartoon. And I do love Mr. Sinister the best, but I think from that cartoon, Master Mold, main Sentinel guy, probably my favorite villain. Probably my favorite episode of X-Men is the season finale of season 1, The Final Decision, which wasn't final at all, but good episode. Really good episode. There's some really great lines. I think Magneto actually has my favorite line in that. He's what is it? Uh, they're all. It's one of the classic. We're the humans hate us. Why are we going to go fight these Sentinels to save these senators that are trying to basically eliminate us? And he's like, well, Cyclops is like, we're going to do it because we're supposed to do. It's the right thing. We got to prove ourselves. It's the right thing to do. And Magneto's like, you're all fools, heroic fools. There's that close up panel of him. The brave are always the first to die. I'm just like, then the theme kicks up, na na na, like, oh yeah, yeah, that's the good stuff. Oh yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Apologize for the rants. Searched up Sugar Man, and he looks a lot like the evolved version of Pot of Greed Yu-Gi-Oh card. I'll take that reference. I don't know. Would that have been something that I would have seen on the cartoon, the original anime? I'm not as much of an expert as a lot of people on here about Yu-Gi-Oh. And if Pot of Greed is a card, is it a good card? Has it been banned? How many hit life points is it worth, or the damage does it deal? What's the effect? Tell me about it. Tell me about it. What if they were the same thing? Potential crossover. Yo, Yu-Gi-Oh! I like Riddler 2 and Two-Face and Penguin. All good choices, all classics. Ah, yes, Joggin King. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How would you continue the stories of Defenders and Punisher, and how would you have them interact with the rest of the current MCU? These hard questions. I can't make these decisions. I'm not in charge. And could I do it well? I don't know. Well, I would have the Defenders reform, and I would probably try to see if I can include some other characters that were in the Defenders that actually are in the Marvel movies, so that I could actually have those characters on the street level interact with those characters so they could have higher level things. Because I believe the original Defenders had like Doctor Strange and Hulk in there, Silver Surfer, if I'm not mistaken, bigger characters. They're all kind of the big powerful misanthropes and the outcasts that came together, the misfits. And yeah, they were. And Namor, I believe that was the original 4. So I'd love to see that group of Defenders kind of come in as like a movie. That I would watch that movie. I'd read that comic. That needs to happen again. I want to see their missions. They do. Whoa, Doc Strange, Namor, the Submariner, and Silver Surfer, the Hulk. Wow, what a team up, right? Yeah, no, that would be cool. So yeah, I'd like to see those characters merge, and I would honestly just integrate them more. And I want to have Spider-Man work with Daredevil. I want to see him take on the Kingpin. I just want to basically just bridge the gap and have the characters like the Marvel Knights and the New Avengers when Luke Cage was kind of like the leader of the Avengers. I really liked that run. That was really cool. I want to see more of that stuff, kind of fusing some of the ground level characters with some of the more powerful ones, as well as a couple obscure ones to kind of round out the cast. That's like my ideal Avengers, which is what I kind of think the Defenders sort of should be potentially. So that would probably be generally what I do. As for Punisher, I think I'd have Punisher go off on like I think I'd have him go off on murder cases. Like he'd try to be like a hired gun to take down certain supervillains. Actually, you know what I do? I just have him. I'd have him try to kill Spider-Man like he did in the comics, and I would just say screw it. We're gonna do a movie. We're gonna do a couple movies about the Clone Saga. Let's have Let's have Marvel Studios do the Clone Saga right because Ultimate Comics did it better. Let's have them condense it, do like 2 or 3 movies, and have the Punisher go after him, and have the Jackal send the Punisher after him because he thinks Spider-Man is a menace, and have him believe he killed Gwen Stacy, he killed Norman Osborn. Yeah, let's do that. Let's have Punisher integrated into the Clone Saga because you know what? Marvel Studios could do it. Disney could do it. They could pull off the Clone Saga. They could make it work. Sure, let's do that. That's what we'll do with Punisher. There you go. Let's do that. Why not? Let's see if they could do that. Now, that if they could do that, they can do anything. If they can make the Clone Saga work, that would work. And have Punisher in there too. Let's see. When are they going to have Mark Hamill join the MCU? Whenever they ask him, he'll probably come. I mean, think about it. That's actually a good point. Disney owns Star Wars. They had Mark Hamill. I'm sure they'll get him in a project. I'm sure he wouldn't say no. Now, would they get him to be live action or would they get him to do a voice role? Because I would be cool with either. I'd be cool with either. Mark Hamill's great. He's got to be voicing Skeletor in the new He-Man. Can you think of better casting? No. No. I can't. What is your thoughts on WB handling Wonder Woman in the DCU better than Batman or Superman? I think it's a good thing. I think that it kind of sucks that Superman and Batman have not been handled as well as they probably could be in the movies, and it's been very divisive. But I'm glad Wonder Woman finally got a good movie. And for me to say that Wonder Woman is the best thing about the DCU is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to me at all. I'm happy about that. I like Wonder Woman. I think she's a great character. She needed this movie and a movie at all, but a good one like 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Like, there's no reason it should have taken this long for Wonder Woman, one of the most popular, iconic heroes in the world, right up there with Batman and Superman, and a woman, and a role model for girls, and just people in general. Like, I'm glad it was so good, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. So, does it suck that Batman and Superman have had some iffy movies and weird characterizations? Yes. But have they had plenty of good ones already? Yes. So I don't really care that much. Like, yeah, it sucks. I hate to say it. And I'm like, oh man, this kind of sucks. But this is the thing. I don't really mind Superman and Batman's portrayal in the DCU movies. I'm actually okay with them. I really like Henry Cavill's Superman. I liked Man of Steel quite a bit. I thought Man of Steel was a good movie, a very good movie. I really liked it. I think that his portrayal in the other movies hasn't been as consistent. I think making him too dark and brooding hasn't been the best thing. And I think that the portrayal of Batfleck, Ben Affleck's Batman, was weird, but alternate version, dark and gritty, kind of based more along Dark Knight Returns, Frank Miller. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that too. The movies themselves, though, have kind of contributed to the problems and that hurt characterization. So it hasn't been consistent. But my point is, Wonder Woman has been good. She's been very good. I really like her. So I'm okay with that. I hope she gets another good one. If we can get another good Justice League movie, that's fine. But, Wonder Woman, I'm glad she's fine. That's a good thing. Do you feel the same way about Batman Forever and Batman and Robin as other people? This is another one of those questions where time and perspective changes things. And I think that's interesting. And that can relate to movies as well as other things. When I was a little kid, uh, I liked Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. And then as I got older and I started to kind of understand storytelling a little more and knew the characters more and had a different idea of what I wanted those characters to be, I felt like those movies were insulting. They were sellouts, toy commercials, and Batman and Robin's like the most hated thing ever. And in many ways, it is a terrible movie. But I've also kind of reevaluated some things, ideas about camp and looking at things in context, the direction, the director kind of apologizing and studio interference and the Adam West show and the concept of a guilty pleasure, so bad it's good movie. Can you find good things about it? Is Batman and Robin a great movie or a good movie? Not really. It's got a lot of problems. I don't really like it that much, in a more serious perspective, but can I have fun watching it with my friends as a drinking game or something? Do I quote it sometimes? Do I think Mr. Freeze, Arnold Schwarzenegger, do I know for a fact, or from what I understand, he was having a great time with the role and gave it his all to give us a comic book character that's that over the top? That's fine. I think you can go a little too overboard and they lost any nuance, which is the biggest problem. But could I find some enjoyment in it? Absolutely. I actually think Batman Forever is the one that I might enjoy the least out of the Schumacher Burton movies because it's over the top, but it's still kind of dialed back. It's not so bad it's good like Batman and Robin. Batman Forever just seems like a safe, marketable choice, and it's a little sillier, but it's fine. But I think technically it's, I guess, a better movie, better made. But I kind of wish we had a darker version of that sometimes. So I'm okay with them. I don't hate them as much as I used to, but I mean, I still prefer my Batman generally dark and gritty. Though it would be cool if someone could pull off a live action version more along the lines of Adam West and have general audiences accept it. Because the shift is weird. Batman starts off dark and gritty in the comics. He gets kind of more goofy as time goes on, peaks kind of with the Adam West show, and everybody loves that show. And it's an iconic version of Batman and shows Batman can be comedic and fun and silly, but still be good. And as we always point out, Adam West still played the character straight. So in a way, even though it was a little more campy and obviously 60s, kind of a more a sillier time, it still had an element of seriousness to it despite that. So there is a way to do it. And I think Batman and Robin just went too far. It took the campiness, but it couldn't mesh the drama well because a lot of the drama falls flat. And the drama in Batman and Robin with Alfred dying is good. It seems like it should be in a different movie. It doesn't gel well, even though that's like it doesn't even seem like it's really connected to the main plot in a lot of ways. So I don't know. I think that was a long-winded answer to your question, but I don't really love them, but I could watch them again. I think Hero knows about the deleted scene in Batman Forever, which is really cool with the bat thing. They took it out. That was a cool scene, but also probably didn't flow with the tone of the movie they were going for. Dan has a couple things he said. Oh my, I got like a bunch of, whoa. Okay. Dan, Film Fanatics shout out. Yep, I did. Film Fanatics podcast, man. Good times. You thought that was a legit Squidward impression? All right. I can't really, how you can't really tell how your voice is like until you're here with the recording. I try and do that, man, I mean, I don't know. Not enough practice with that one. I promise if people want a better Squidward impression, I'll do one. It's one role I haven't tried too much, I guess. Mostly I just do narration like this. Like, it always seems like I'm kind of going into like a William Shatner impression, I like how Tim Sale drew Scarecrow. It's like Tim Burton drew him with a bit of Dr. Seuss. I'm glad you brought up Tim Sale because Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, their comics, they're like nostalgic look at classic things, but with a darker edge. Some of my favorite comics, and they're all themed. Superman for all seasons, Batman Long Halloween and Dark Victory, Daredevil Yellow, Spider-Man Blue, and I think I'm Hulk Gray. Oh, if you haven't read those people, the Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, probably the best team, maybe the best team in comics. Also Jim Lee. Jim Lee's a really good artist too, but Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, Jim Lee, his artists, they made some really good stuff. I also really like John Romita Jr. He's really good too. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, absolutely. Chris Claremont's a good writer for X-Men too. But yeah, Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb, their runs, their little kind of condensed stories, that kind of with the flashbacks of older comics. I love those. Those are so good. Those are really good. They're always like introspective, sad looks at the past, though. Like, oh, we looked at the lens of simpler times, but now we're adults, and oh yeah, things seemed so colorful back then, but villains didn't shoot people. They didn't get involved with the family. It's kind of a not so subtle commentary on the outside world influencing the maturing of comics and the clashing. But yeah, I really love that stuff. Long Halloween's really good, and I really like Scarecrow's design and his interpretation in that too. Absolutely. Let's see. Hey, I am doing a live stream. Yeah, got a guest. You do? Okay. Want me to wrap it up soon? No, she doesn't miss me that much. Uh, I'll try to get to the questions if they slow down here, and then I'll end it. I guess. Okay. Love you. Okay. Let's see. But yeah, I really like Scarecrow's design. He's awesome. I also like the combat. The combat when he fights Batman is pretty cool. Let's see. Kenny again. I've seen a ton of hate on Cyclops, never understood why. Thank you. Thank you, Kenny. I agree with you. I completely agree. Okay. Because Cyclops gets a lot of hate. And I'll tell you why he gets a lot of hate. Two reasons. Okay. He gets a lot of hate because he's the Captain America, straight laced, serious, no nonsense leader guy, the responsible one who seems like he's kind of a dick. And his power is stupid. He pushes things with his eyes. He has a force beam with his eyes, not a laser. So everybody hates on him because of that. And I'll tell you something else. He's also my favorite X-Man. Okay. I love Cyclops. I love his care. I love the fact that he's a leader. I love his serious disposition. I love that he doesn't like Wolverine. I think his power is awesome. And I love his really bad, stupid costume from the 90s animated series. I love Cyclops as a character. He's a good character. I love Cyclops. And I don't care what anybody fucking says. Cyclops is awesome. Cyclops is my favorite. He's great. And he's a great character. He's a well-written character. And power looks cool, but it's stupid. He's was the perfect thing about comics. He's a great character, but it's stupid. He's Cyclops is great. I don't care. Cyclops, people don't understand Cyclops. It's easy to hate on him because he's the leader and his power is kind of silly. But it's an interesting issue to have, right? You can never look at someone in the eye without destroying them. And he can take out tanks with that thing. And he has to have the bad 90s blue onesie with the yellow belt with the big X buckle. Yeah, but the question is, do you go like skull cap hood thing or just hair? I say you have hair. I remember that in the one episode where he's like, you know what, you can do what you want to. I'll be in the Blackbird. Like, it just sounds so grumpy. And of course, everybody follows him because you follow Cyclops, even Wolverine. Where with you, Psych? You know, only person that I think didn't follow him in that episode was Gambit. And then Rogue was like, you coming? He's like, I guess I won't be the only person here, mon ami. That was terrible. Uh, let's see. Yeah, original X-Men group on the big screen. I don't know. I think they're getting a little up there now. I mean, if Marvel owns the X-Men now, so it would be cool to see them do one more mission, but I think Days of Future Past giving us the nod and correcting the issues with the other movies was such a cool thing. If that's all we ever get with classic Kelsey Grammer as Beast back, and you got James Marsden back, and you get Famke Jensen back as Jean Grey, all the classics. Oh man, I want to go back and watch the X-Men again because I still didn't see Dark Phoenix, and New Mutants got pushed back for the fourth time. What a weird thing in limbo because of like at this point, just release it to DVD or Blu-ray or streaming. No one's gonna go out. Is anyone gonna see New Mutants because that thing has been supposed to be out like 2017? Like, oh my goodness. Let's see. Oh man. Draw two cards, but in current Yu-Gi-Oh, that card is banned for getting +2 without any payment, tribute, discard, or anything negative. Of course. Of course, it's a card that's banned. I don't know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh, but of course, I ask about a card that is randomly brought up and it's banned. And somebody is asking if they can drop below. Yep, can drop by. That's not a very funny joke, person. I'll kick you out if that's not funny. Kenny, I hope you're looking at my Cyclops reaction, not at the person above you. Somebody retracted their message. Good people are policing themselves. Thank you. Once again, let's try to be respectful of everybody. If not, you'll be kicked out. You know, just saying. Be here to be friendly and talk about silly things. Aquaman is my second favorite movie in the DCU. Okay, Kenny. I'll give you time to respond. Why is that? Because I think Aquaman is could have been so bad it's good. But I thought it was way too all over the place. There were things about it I liked. I thought Jason Momoa was good as Aquaman. They put him in the costume. There was a lot of good underworld sea stuff, but there was too much jumping around. Didn't know what kind of movie it wanted to be. The villains were good. I like Black Manta. I liked Ocean Master. They were good, but I thought the movie was kind of disorienting. I thought it needed to focus more, and some of the acting was terrible. Some of the acting was bad. Willem Dafoe was bad in that movie. Jason Momoa was playing himself was great, but some of the acting, the chemistry with the lead actress was terrible, terrible. So please sell me. I want to hear your reasons because I like things about it, but man, what's your favorite DC movie? Man, help, jeez. Some people like Shazam, but I haven't seen it yet. Thoughts on John Bernthal wanting to play Punisher still? Yeah, great Punisher. I like the Punisher from 2005. That guy was good, but Punisher, great. Great Punisher. Really, really good job. Definitely should come back. What anime character would you team up with a Marvel or DC character? I would team up Doctor Strange with Yusuke Urameshi. I would have him help out with some Soul Society. Not well, that was Bleach. Some Spirit Detective stuff. Actually, now that I think about it, Bleach wouldn't be too bad. Yeah, fighting some hollows. That'd be cool. No, but I stick with my original answer. Have him stick with Yusuke. Have him deal with some stuff in the demon world. Like maybe if there's like another war brewing and there were some like monsters coming through, that would be a good team up. I want to see. I want to see a sequel to Yu Hakusho. I kind of wrote one in my head a long time ago. Just have some stuff coming up. He has to pop back in and resolve that whole final war arc, which was like could have potentially been the most interesting thing about Yu Yu Hakusho, but and it was good. I know why they did it, but I just wanted to see a war. They threatened a demon war. I wanted to see a demon war. I think Doctor Strange would be really cool with that because he could go to the realm. I think he'd be a really good one. And that was spammed a lot. With DC, DC it would probably be Constantine for sure. I team up with Hiei, Punisher, Red Hood would be awesome, or Yusuke Urameshi teaming with Tony Stark as Iron Man would be cool, or Yusuke with Shazam would be cool, or Captain Marvel as he's sometimes known. DCU has the actors, but the script must be awful. Yeah, there are some bad scripts. Wonder Woman interacting with Goku would be cool. Yeah, Goku acting. Yeah, be a good fight too. I think Wonder Woman would definitely lose because Goku would, is Goku. So yeah, there we go. So looks like the comments are slowing down, but Frederick just popped up. Frederick II of Prussia. What is your favorite story out of the Silmarillion? I still like Akalabeth or Downfall of Numenor the most after rereading it. I have to go back and read the Silmarillion because it's been a long time since I've read it. It's probably been like, I think I was in high school, so that was like at least a decade ago. Uh, yeah, over a decade ago for sure. So Silmarillion, I I think the thing I remember the most about the Silmarillion was the early stuff, like when Melkor left. And I always really liked how he kind of told the main spider that I think was Shelob's ancestor to go and eat the trees of light. I always really liked the early mythological stuff of the breaking away of Melkor in the First War. It's funny you brought that up because I've actually been reading Lord of the Rings again. I've really been into Tolkien stuff. I've been watching the Hobbit movies. So I'm like, I've really been into Tolkien lately a lot. I really love Lord of the Rings a lot. So I'm glad somebody actually asked that question. That's cool. thoughts on the coronavirus? Like I said earlier, all these movies are getting pushed back that I was planning to see. There were a couple conventions I wanted to go to that have gotten canceled. One I was supposed to do like a panel at. I'm kind of disappointed about it. So, yeah, man, the scare is real. It's really affecting stuff. Like, it's a shame. It's really a shame. The deleted bat scene gives Bruce solace that wasn't his fault as he looks into his dad's journal, which said that Thomas went to see a different film and Bruce's movie has to wait till next. And once he sees the giant bat, he understands he can stay as Batman forever. Ah, see what they did there? You still like Hunter x Hunter? Yes, I do. I believe it's getting a follow up finally, right? It's getting caught up. Is there another anime in the works? Which that means 2011 and Hunter x Hunter is getting a sequel. I was actually thinking about Hunter x Hunter the other day and how I really, really enjoyed it. It was actually like one of my when I first started doing anime reviews, it was like one of the first ones I really got into that kind of got me talking to a lot of people on YouTube here on Hero. Actually kind of recommended it to me to check out, I think, because I hadn't seen all of Hakusho yet. And he's like, go back and watch Hunter x Hunter. And I was like, yeah, I really liked it. It was a good show. I enjoy the characters a lot. I'd have to go back and watch it again. I still think Hunter x Hunter probably has the best detailed power set explanation in a shonen. I really like that, how detailed they went about how Nen powers worked. I don't think I've ever seen a show go into as much detail about that. I also really liked how Gon, as a main shonen protagonist, does not start off overpowered. He has to really work for things. He has to use strategy, and he loses. And there's always a lot of tension because he's fighting people that are more powerful, like in that first battle with Hisoka. That's not something I've really seen until My Hero Academia, which I've been slowly kind of catch up on and seeing, wow, that is really pushing it to another level in terms of Midoriya really having to kind of work for his power and build it up within himself and learn from others and not just be OP all the time. I just haven't watched or read it in a while, but that's still like one of my favorites. I think it's definitely one of the most interesting shonens. I mean, I've talked about that before on the channel. Togashi is good. Between that and Hakusho, like they're great models to build off of. Like they're the standard. If you can get to that level or beyond it, I mean that's some really interesting shonen at the very least. So yeah, I like Hunter x Hunter. But is the I always said the X was silent, but I heard some people say Hunter x Hunter, Hunter times Hunter, which means it would be Hunter x Hunter because it's times two, right? But if it's Hunter times itself, it's still Hunter. Or is it Hunter two? I don't know. Thoughts on Might Guy versus All Might or Hiei versus Sasuke death battles? Um, are these ones that are up now, or I don't know if I'm caught along. I don't think I'm caught up enough to know the with Might Guy. I think All Might actually win that one. Although it would depend. If it was All Might at his height, maybe at his height, but later on, no. They'd probably bring that into Death Battle, say, oh yeah, he's not as powerful. But he versus Sasuke, he versus I know Sasuke gets pretty OP by the end, but I'm gonna say Hiei probably because he's a demon and he's got. I think Hiei might have that one. I'm gonna say Hiei probably, but I haven't watched those if they're a thing. Ah, where would you place JoJo battle system? Oh, JoJo's battle system is another. JoJo is definitely up there too, with Hunter x Hunter and also Kenshin in terms of strategizing. And I don't know if like I think the reason I say Hunter x Hunter is best because it goes into so much detail about the different types of powers and how they work and how they're connected on different levels. JoJo is really cool because it has different individualized type of powers for each person that they have to use, but it's all kind of the same. And they do go into explanations about that, but I don't think it's to the same level of detail. I like the fact that JoJo it just kind of allows different like extensions of the person and like they're kind of the spirit that they work with. So you have a lot of opportunities for different powers and different designs and stuff like that. That's what I think JoJo's best strength is for his power. And that's why I like JoJo a lot. But I also think JoJo probably has better stories, like in the arcs. I really like the story of I like the story of JoJo a lot. From what I've seen of it, what I've read of it, I really like the investment of the characters, but I like the characters a lot in Hunter x Hunter and the individual stories, but I think for overarching stuff, it doesn't have as much momentum. JoJo's got the whole family link, which connects things more. But in terms of powers, I just think there's a lot of opportunities for design and stuff. So that's cool. But I don't think it's quite as detailed as Hunter x Hunter, but it's up there. It's definitely up there. I'd say Hunter x Hunter's up there, JoJo's up there, Hakusho's a little bit, Kenshin a little bit, for strategy at least, though not so much for powers. Uh, Naruto. Naruto's good. I don't know if One Piece really went into as much detail about it, like the specifics of all of it, because there's the devil fruits. Bleach kind of played around with it, but no. My Hero Academia does too, but not to the same extent. It's kind of like everybody has their thing and works with it. It's more general. Um, yeah, but they're up there, for sure. I think Hunter x Hunter's still up there, number one, and probably JoJo, Kenshin, yeah, Hakusho. I'd like to see a team up movie with Wonder Woman and Shazam in the DCEU. It'll probably happen. Uh, though I forget if they were actually connected in the same universe. I thought they seemed like Shazam was almost like its own differentiated tone. So I don't know. Does it take place in the same universe? Because that's the real question. It's kind of been a little bit vague as to whether or not the movies are in the same universe or not. Hero, you saw Hook recently. It's a good movie. What'd you think about it? I always really liked that one as a kid. Surprisingly divisive, though. Some people don't like it that much. I think Hook's great. Melkor as the root of all evil in Tolkien mythos still fascinates me. He defied the music of the Arnar and Eru during the creation myth of Arda right from the beginning. Yes, it's a very interesting idea, isn't it? Like, why did he do that? Because you got to have one guy to be evil, right? That's why, to make it interesting. But it's one of those cool things is that Sauron is like this beacon of evil that's so iconic, but Sauron was just somebody's lackey. There was somebody much worse. Morgoth, as he was sometimes known. Yes, I always really liked that myth. Arda, yes. Hunters Squared, yes. I love One Piece Nut. It's so long. I've only seen the Thriller Bark arc, which Toonami stopped showing it. I went back and actually started to watch One Piece again because I actually didn't watch a lot of the anime. I read quite a bit of the manga, but I wanted to kind of get to where I left off in the anime, where I saw I believe it's the one retrieval arc. I liked that one a lot, but I there was a gap before that, and so I had to go back and I wanted to watch Arlong again, and I enjoyed that, and so I'm gonna try and I really actually enjoyed going back and watching One Piece again. It's kind of cool with kind of not caring about the hype and what's going on now. I'm like, I remember really enjoying the manga and just kind of going back and watching the anime. I'm like, people used to hate on the production of the anime, and I'm like, I know that it does improve, but I liked the quality of the old anime. I've been watching the Funimation dub, which I hear a lot of the it's like kind of like a Kai quality sort of thing. I hear a lot of the Sunny Straits and Chris Sabat's, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm seeing here's clearly the Vegeta reference, here's clearly the Krillin. Hearing Gohan as Luffy is kind of a probably the most distracting thing, but it's a decent voice for him. Hunter Squared, correct spelling. Hunter Squad. Hunter Squad. Yeah, the death battles are up. Okay, yeah, I didn't see either of those. I haven't really watched those because they're fun, but I kind of like the build up to describing each of them more than the results, to be honest. I'd like to see a movie where between Punisher and Deadpool are Ghost Rider and Blade. Those would be good crossovers. Those would be good team ups. Absolutely. Shazam is in the DC. Okay. Yep. Water 7 and CP9. Yeah, that's where they cross over. I was like, yeah, Water 7. That's what I was thinking. And the CP9. Yeah. That was kind of like the last. And I knew about some of the stuff afterwards and I tried to follow along, but One Piece is a commitment. And I've got all these other shows to watch, some classic ones I wanted to rewatch. Like, I mean, I've been going back and watching Venture Brothers because I never finished it, and I'm watching Futurama again, and I got to get caught up on Twin Peaks because I still didn't see that new season. So, And what else have I been watching? I've been watching Peaky Blinders. I've been watching Shira. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of different things. So, yeah, it's like I'm all over the place with the stuff I want to watch. I want to watch Better Call Saul because that's got a new season. So it's too much to watch. So it's like, man, One Piece is it's good. I like One Piece from what I've seen, but I know I'm so far. I probably should just read the manga though. Vinland Saga is what I've been reading lately, and I'm about 100 chapters or so into that. So that's been good. People want to read that. Would you say? What do you say before Dragon Ball Super Naruto was the biggest anime manga out there? In the United States, yeah. Yeah, when I mean, remember a couple years ago was the big 3, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach. Yeah, they were the big 3 for a long time. I think Naruto was like in terms of like shonen battle series, like the most popular mainstream one. Naruto was the biggest after Dragon Ball Z ended, GT ended. There was kind of that period there where Funimation brought in Fullmetal Alchemist, and there wasn't like a big battle shonen. But yeah, Naruto was the biggest. One Piece was the biggest in Japan, apparently, the manga for a long time. And now I want to say, well, you know what? I would have said One Piece was the biggest here too, but because of Super, because Dragon Ball's come back, and now Dragon Ball, because it was and is pretty much the biggest thing ever, it finally got that sequel. Yeah, yeah, I'd say that Dragon Ball Super, while it's running, is the biggest. Which is funny because I kind of think people think of Dragon Ball as like a separate entity, and even I do sometimes. Like, because I know there's a lot of people that don't really watch much anime that will turn into Super because they like Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball has gotten a lot bigger since then. So I almost think Dragon Ball is kind of on another level, and I know that might insult some people. I'm not trying to say that like it's necessarily better than One Piece or Naruto or not deserving, but One Piece is still thought of as an anime. Think Dragon Ball is a cartoon people grew up with. It's a show. It's a pop culture icon now. It always kind of was at that level. So some people might think that's cheating, and they might be like, "Oh yeah." But I think in that sense, I think Dragon Ball has surpassed itself as just an anime. I think it was always a nostalgic cartoon. I think it's a show, and it's what he was in. Wasn't Goku like in the Thanksgiving parade a year or two ago? Like we're at that level, people. Like so, yeah. Dragon Ball is it's definitely the biggest now, and I think it's definitely if it did not have it had a seat in pop culture, but I think it's less niche by far. Dragon Ball is about as close to mainstream as I think anime can get. Probably. That and Sailor Moon. But Sailor Moon, yeah, Sailor Moon I think is, but people just don't think about it as much because it's not as current. I don't know if Crystal's still going. Man. Thoughts on the CWDC shows? I'm not really that into Arrow. I think they're fine. I know I got one buddy that really likes Legends Tomorrow. I liked some of the Flash that I saw. It was very good, but around third season, I kind of lost interest. So Supergirl, I thought was okay, but I didn't keep up with it. So I think CW's fine. A lot of people like them and introduces a lot of other characters to people that don't know them. That's fine. But I'm kind of a stickler when it comes to some comic book stuff, and a lot of things are very different. I thought Green Arrow was basically Batman, but I do like their version of the Flash. I thought the first couple seasons of the Flash were very good, basically. Let's see. Yeah, My Hero Academia. I need to catch up on it still. I'm watching the third season now, but it's a good show. I think the thing I like about it the most is that it just has. Oh yeah, I did want to mention this. I thought about doing a podcast or video about it, but I when My Hero Academia first came out, I remember I was like, it's just a superhero shtick with like the same basic tropes we've seen before, a lot of Naruto stuff. You've got the exams, I get it. And I thought it was cool. They had a character who wasn't born with it. So it's kind of saying, okay, you have to work for things, but you can still achieve great things, even though you have a disadvantage. And I like All Might. And I really like the superhero trope, and I think the villains are interesting. But I was like, it's not really. I don't really understand why people are saying it's that great. And I'm like, well, I got to a certain point where I realized that hook about Midoriya having to kind of really work for his power and build up to it, and obviously not be super powerful right away. That is a big thing. But the one thing it kind of has that Hunter x Hunter does not have, which kind of made me realize I really do like My Hero Academia, is that and a lot of other shows try to do this. Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, they all feel free to disagree. I think they do it as well. But even when it comes to the side characters, all those other characters who I don't really know that much about, they all have distinct, memorable personalities, designs, powers. They all have little moments and episodes where they have to work together and grow. And I found myself caring about all those characters. Even the ones that don't have that many lines, they still stand out and they still have little mini arcs going on. I'm like, wow, I care about this character who only had a few seasons, one episode. Like, I don't even know, I'll admit I don't know all their names, but I'm like, I really love these sidekicks. Like, I love this entire, not just, it's not like even Yu Yu Hakusho or Dragon Ball, where like that. There's a couple characters I really liked so much, like even like 5 or 10. Like, there's a whole group of these kids that I like. I want to see them succeed. And I like these teachers. And I really like all these characters. And I feel like they're believable. And I want to see them succeed. And I'm like, that's something that I have not seen in any like shonen battle anime to that extent. Even Dragon Ball is coming from me. Like I like a lot of those characters, but do I really care about all of them like as much, the same level? I'm like, I really these side characters I really like. So My Hero Academia, I think that's a really awesome thing. Um, is All Might the anime Superman? Yes, I think he is. I think he is the ideal version of the superhero. That's clearly what he's supposed to represent. Yes, the strong man, the strong, the strong Superman type. I think he's actually kind of even more stereotypical in that sense. I feel like there's another character he might represent better, but sure, we'll say he's the Superman. At what moment would you say Bleach fell apart? Uh, well, I mean, I could do my whole, it kind of, became less good once all the hollows started to become like people and they were no longer big monsters and it's no longer a horror show. And I've said that many times. So that's when I stopped really liking Bleach because I liked that whole exploring the element of the afterlife and redemption and the horror monsters, the hollows. Everyone knows I like early Bleach the most for like, the one season. But when it fell apart for me was probably what was the at what point when when Ichigo gained Quincy powers, didn't that happen? They were supposed to be like almost all wiped out. No. You already gave him the like pretty much when they start giving the character like powers of all the different sets, like it potentially makes it broken and less interesting. It's like the Quincy that for me, that was probably when it started to go off the rails. Personally, I think that they should have just, not been as drawn out with Eisen as they were. That was really the problem, because a lot of these shows have to draw things out. Was it like Waco Mundo? Like probably like basically. Oh, actually, what when Eisen was not really the main villain the whole time was probably the. Okay, yeah, we'll just say Quincy Powers. We'll say that, but Bleach, Bleach went on too long. Well, we all know this. Yeah, Hiei versus Bui, yes, is the best Yu Yu Hakusho fight in my eyes. Were glued when I first watched this fight. More than you just like the Dragon of the Darkest Flame, don't you? You're saying more than Yusuke versus Toguro, more than Yusuke versus Sensui, more than everybody versus Sensui, more than all the other. What about what? Wait a really? Wow. I think I actually like actually, yeah, no, Yusuke versus Toguro is probably my favorite fight, though I also really like Kuwabara's fight against the elder Toguro brother. That one's brutal. Kurama's fight was really good too. All those fights, the fights in the dark, the dark tournament was great, and those four final fights were just all great. They were all awesome. Yeah. Uh, Roy Mustang versus Lust, one of the best fights in FMA Brotherhood. Yes, it is. I think FMA Brotherhood has some of the best anime fights ever. I think that's why it's still something you should watch. And I think that is the one thing I can honestly say for sure that technically is better than the first show is the animation is a little better. The animated sequences of the fights and the action are definitely more, and they are beautiful. Um, though I think the fight with Envy is really good too. Actually, the fight with Envy is really good. The fight with Pride, I think between Al and Pride is really good. I loved the Shadow Power. That was really good too. I think those are probably my favorite fights. Fight with Kimberly was really good. Um, the fight with Bradley was really good. The Scar versus yeah, there were Brotherhood had a lot of good fights, but I'd have to watch Brotherhood again. And down the line, there might be an FMA video or two or many more about those shows because it's been a long time since I've watched either show all the way through, and I only watched Brotherhood once, so I'm due to watch it again. But I gotta watch the original again. I gotta watch them both again because I've been kicking around doing a series of like podcasts or something because I kind of want to go back and watch it again and talk about it episode by episode or something. But yeah, there were some really good fights in Brotherhood. Beautiful show. I was also wondering this. Should I read God Emperor of Dune? My reservation reading it seems to be that it's part of an incomplete story that had been a cliffhanger of Chapter House. You should read it. You should go ahead and read it. Because that actually was, I believe, Herbert's part of his story he completed. And you can follow up with the other books that his nephew did because much like with Tolkien, he did use the notes to try to finish up the story. So I think you should do it. You should finish it, man. Absolutely. I've actually been going back and reading some of the Dune books too. I've been reading Dune Messiah. I like Dune Messiah. I feel like it gets right to the action and the intrigue a lot quicker than the first novel does. I like that interview with I believe it's out was it Irulan's there and with the face dancer and the guild navigator and Bene Gesserit. They're all there. Reverend Mother Mohaim, Skytail and what's the guild navigator's guy? Forget his name. But yeah, I like when they're all just like we're plotting to kill Paul. I'm like they get right to the business in the second book. But yeah, go ahead and read it. I recommend reading the prequel novels too if you haven't. I like the Butlerian Jihad and the stuff about the different houses, the prelude stuff. That stuff's really interesting about the robots and the robot wars, the thinking machines. I think before they were mentats, some interesting stuff there. Naruto's part one and Shippuden feels like two different stories being told. It's almost as if Kishimoto wrote a different with his character. Shippuden does have a different tone. I actually tell people that if they dropped off before that, they probably should check it out because it does feel like a different show, but it's they're grown up. It's a time skip. They elevate things. Shippuden had some really good stuff too. A lot of really good fights in Shippuden. Though I kind of feel weird that Orochimaru kind of got pushed to the side, and I guess he's not evil in Boruto from what I hear. Haven't watched any of it, but I'm like that seems like a big 180 turn there. 1,000-year blood war arc is what you mean. Yes, that's what it's called. Thank you. That thing. Um, Thank you, Sarah. Do you agree with this? Does Naruto wait, I just read that. It's starting to blur together. I liked Yusuke versus Sensui fight more than Yusuke versus Toguro. I love both fights, but Yusuke versus Sensui had my jaw dropped. But which fight though? First fight or second fight? Because the second fight's kind of anticlimactic, isn't it? I always liked how Sensui could kick his ki around like a soccer ball. Yeah, and I always like the animate his legs like very very tall skinny guy. He just seems very imposing, and I like how he moves like he's not really putting that much energy into it. Like all his moves are really calculated with precise strikes because he's got all the different like techniques and personalities. Sensui had a cool fighting style. I wish they had done more with that. But Hero knows that Toguro is my favorite. My favorite villain, but why? Because of that, you know what? You can't defeat me, Yusuke. You have it to deal with me if you want your friends to get out of here alive. Yes, it's gotta come right from the the sternum. You gotta growl a little. Yeah. Oh man. You would like me to do a compare and contrast of Kimberly from the two shows. All right, this is actually something I need anybody on here to tell me because I've been kicking this around and I want honesty from everybody. Please. Uh there I've been doing the Joe movies and I'm planning to do some videos about classic cartoons and stuff. But I know people miss the anime character analysis. Uh, would people like to see more of those? Because I know that there's some Full Metal Alchemist ones I never got around to that I've been thinking about. Kimberly was one of them. Are there any more that people would like to see or specific ones? Because I've been thinking about it. It would have to be some stuff I've seen or I'd have to rewatch. But like, would people like to see more of those? Because I think there's some Full Metal Alchemist ones I didn't do. And Kimberly was one I never did. So you want to compare contrast between both shows? Means I'd have to watch them again because I liked him in both shows, but there he has different roles, so that is a different point. So let me know, people, different videos you do want to see, what you've been liking on the channel. Let me know. Seriously, I want the feedback. It always helps me. Let's see, whoa, uh, somebody's like putting in bigger stuff. Yusuke versus Tagoro was great, but I knew it was gonna happen. Yusuke could win. Yusuke was Sensui wasn't expecting Sensui to kill you. Yeah, the first one. Yeah. Yeah, the resurrection was cool. I'll take your word on God Emperor of Dune. It's just Children of Dune felt more like an ending to the first trilogy. Ah, yes, the golden path. I could see it, Father. Paul Path trying to carry that left resolve. Duke later trying kind of carrying on what his father could not because Paul was doomed. People thought Paul was the Messiah, but he knew this isn't going to work. They can't worship me. This is just going to start the same problems again. And so his son becomes a. All right. All right. Okay. Let me say this before you read the book. Okay. I agree with you. I think Children of Dune does feel like it sort of wraps up Paul's arc, and it is a good way to kind of leave things off. So you can kind of compartmentalize that if you want to, but Dune goes to some more bizarre places after that. So the story continues and does get resolved eventually, but there is more to do. So you I feel like a lot of the same themes will probably be covered, but just know it'll go to some weird places. But I do agree with you. I think those first three books feel like a very solid story that has a good conclusion. So I don't think you're wrong there. But just going it goes to some weird places. So keep that in mind. But I think the sequels, I believe his nephew tried to do a good job trying to be faithful to that stuff. Or is it his son? I always get them confused. I think is it Tolkien's nephew? It might be his son. It might be his son. The other Herbert. Yeah, that guy. Is it Brian? I don't know. Let's see. My favorite part in Hook is when Pan is able to see the food which returned to him in his youth. It felt as if he mastered something unobtainable and impossible, materializing imagination. Oh, which is what Steven Spielberg and perhaps all filmmakers and all creative people, and in any sense, are kind of about, right? Imagine bringing it into reality. Oh, that's a good scene. That's a good scene. Bangarang! The stakes of Chapter Black, especially towards the end when heroes were all going to lose, Yusuke became lucid. Yeah, yeah. I thought humanity was fine. Yeah, that was a really tense one. That was a really tense one. Do it, Merlin. Have you ever talked about Scar and his brother? I've seen it. I've seen what it takes to create a philosopher's stone. I've seen Beyond the Gate. Oh, I understand. Like, whoa, should not have done that. I haven't talked about Scar and his brother. Some scary stuff. Yeah, I gotta do some more character analysis. I got some other ones I gotta do. I just have to get around to it. But you think so? You'd like to see one about Scar? Yeah, I need to do Scar and about Scar and his brother. That may be a good focus too. All right, so I got some Kimberly stuff. I got some Scar stuff. All right, Brian Herbert is his son. Okay, minor correction. Okay, Brian Herbert's the son. I was like, I get them confused. I remember Tolkien's nephew worked on his. I'm like, similar situation. Oh, Kenny, thank you. You'll take any video I make. I appreciate that. I, and it's just like because I make a lot of random stuff on here now, but I do appreciate it. That's how I feel these days. I'll make any video I feel like and see what happens. The stakes of Chapter Black were so high. That is true. Even he I got scared. Yeah, that's true. He had to get scared. Thoughts on Cell as a character villain? I've done that video already. I could do another one though. I'm always happy to talk about Cell, especially when he was like this. Maybe I'll do a video about how I felt that he was best when he was imperfect, but that he never really achieved perfection, even when he was like this. I mean, it's just I can't do as well as Devil Artemis, but uh, he's imperfect. What can I say? Because I do like Cell. I could talk about the Cell saga. I could do a whole thing talking about my favorite part of Dragon Ball Z. Again, could. Trunks arrives, Trunks leaves, everything between there. Golden. You know. Can you do an analysis on Daredevil and Wonder Woman? For MCU and DCU. I should do that. I should. Ooh, those would be good video ideas. I like those. In fact, one of the first videos I seen was your Phone Alchemist video. Yes, they are. Those are still the videos I did years ago that I think keep attracting people. And I actually know those are like most of the views I still get are from those original ones. And I don't know why. I mean, I like to think it's because they're good. Maybe I hit something. I think it's like I had the right tags, the right thumbnail, hit the right debate because people still talk about Fullmetal Alchemist and the homunculi. People find them fascinating. But those are kind of like sort of the like benchmark bedrock of my channel in a way. So I mean it's fair enough. I do want to come back to Fullmetal Alchemist. I just kind of needed a break from it for a while, I guess. And I've had all these other videos I want to do about movies and stuff, but um mostly that's been to kind of like I want to talk about them. That's been my focus is passions film, but also because I wanted to work on my editing and I really wanted to provide better videos. And I kind of always felt like my videos were kind of varied in quality. And with my character analysis, I do like these slideshows, and I thought people thought they were boring, but I don't know. Maybe I was just overthinking a little. That's very possible. But yeah, I like doing the homunculus videos. I kind of wanted to do ones breaking them down a little more because I did a video where I summed them up a couple times, but like I wanted to give them like talking about like Lust from the 2003 anime. I love her character in that, and I still think that like you mentioned in Brotherhood, like that fight with her with Mustang is such a great fight, but against a nobody character in that show. And I'm just like, if you just, just you're missing out on something so good and tragic and just it's good. Some good, really good fiction there, Uh, I need to talk about stuff as well. There's a few new characters in Fist and Lost Paradise, which felt very original and refreshing when compared to other later North Star villains from Part Two. Yeah, I know you don't like Part Two very much. I never watched Part Two of North Star. I think you didn't you say that like he was just too OP by that point? Like, I mean, because nobody ever talks about anything past the like initial ones. Like, Souther is my boy. Souther. 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 Yeah, I watched some North Star not too long ago, and I finally watched that episode. What was it with the cannonball technique? How is that a technique? How is that I think South Star, they just said, do this thing and we'll call it South Star. Propel yourself into the air from a cannon, and that's a martial art. What? But yeah, that's cool. You should. I'd like to see more videos from that. We got to do a podcast again, Hero. Sometime we gotta make it work sometime, man. One of these nights. I'll probably be working from home in a couple weeks. I think so. Maybe when I have some downtime, then we'll try to get Skype working again, record, or maybe Discord again. I want to do some calls with some people again, especially maybe for like some Joe Loves Movies podcast or something, because I know you'd like to talk about some films. I mean, can you fly, Bobby? Like, can you? But yeah, I have a request that I'm gonna message you, Dead, and I think Phoenix Kai about Vaughn. I'm gonna. There is something I wanted from you that I have a plan with that video, but I don't want to spoil on it here for anybody that cares about RoboCop, which I is what it's about. Um, how could you improve the DCU currently? How could I improve it? I would go back to the drawing board and I would really look at what Marvel's doing, and I wouldn't care about emulating it. And I'd say, all right, we're going to follow this formula. We're going to reintroduce the characters that I keep Wonder Woman, maybe Superman, and I would reintroduce these other characters that haven't been, give them their own movies, focus on them one at a time. Okay, not worry about crossovers or big events. I'd look at the Justice League cartoon that Bruce Timm made and model it closely on that and try to pick and cherry and put time, money, make it colorful, make it fun, and have some good character moments and stakes to ground it a little bit. And I would try to make a successful movie, and people would say it's like the Marvel movies, but they could still be good because they're different characters with their own stories that Marvel does not have because DC has its own thousands of stories to use. So, generally speaking, that's what I would do. Just do what Wonder Woman did. Okay, do what Shazam did. All right? Do what Aquaman did, but more focused. you know? Not everything has to be Batman. Not everything has to be dark and gritty. We can have fun. We can be colorful. DC is fun and colorful. That's it. Marvel could have serious stakes and still be colorful. It's fine. It's not exactly the same thing, but you can still take some of those ideas. That's all you have to do. I really think so. Maybe it's a little cheesy. We don't care. If they can make Thor good, they can make Guardians good. They can make these other characters good. Absolutely. Uh, let's see. I discovered you through Guts and Griffith analysis as foils. Ah, yeah, that old video. I've thought about doing more videos on Berserk. I just don't think I have anything else I can say that anybody else hasn't said already that's better. That's kind of been the issue. I'm like, I've seen some videos like Lowwart and Super Eye Patch. Like I've seen like some of these guys, some of these other YouTubers have made really good videos, analyzing the themes of these different anime, and I'm like, they've done what I've done and better. I'm thinking, man, sometimes I'm like, they've made such good videos. How could I top that? I'm like, and I'm like, it doesn't need to be said. But then I'm sometimes like, well, some people might like to hear my perspective, and I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm torn about that. But that's the way I feel like a lot of the shows. Like I've talked about a lot of these anime on here for years. Like if I said enough already, sometimes I feel like that. But Berserk is one of the examples. Like Berserk's really good, but I feel like I've said everything that I could say, and they all know what I'm going to say. I could be wrong. Maybe there's probably another angle I could approach it from. But like Guts, Griffith, like we know why that works. Don't we? Could probably make another video about it. We could maybe talk about like the dark fantasy elements of Berserk because I've actually been working on I'm working on my first full novel. I wrote a little superhero novella a little while ago that I wasn't that happy with. So I'm actually working on a dark fantasy novel right now that's like it's got elements of Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, a little bit of Berserk in there, and I'm kind of like it's kind of a very basic fantasy, simple, but I'm trying to write it, and maybe I could talk about how Berserk kind of influences some of my maybe how Berserk was influenced by fantasy tropes like Robert E. Howard, Lovecraft, and how it also in turn influenced newer things. Maybe something like that. Maybe like approaching thematics or storytelling structures instead of just character stuff. That might be something I could do because I think with a series like Berserk, where it's like you've got Guts, Griffith, Casca, that's pretty much it for like main characters, like that really had the most going on. I guess there's Skull Knight and there's some other ones, Puck, but like, you know what I mean? I feel like it's a little more limited there. But yeah, I did like doing those videos. I could probably approach some more. Want to do analysis on Dragon Ball Super Broly and Paragus. That particular version of Broly and Paragus, I could probably do. I have talked about Broly in the past. I probably could approach him again. And Paragus is actually one of my favorite movie villains. So I probably could talk about him and what We learned about Saiyan culture from the Broly movie, which I really liked. It's actually really cool. I really enjoyed the Broly movie a lot. Not as good as Fakatsu no F, but I different type of thing. But I thought Broly was probably the best written Dragon Ball thing ever. To be honest, never thought I'd say that about Broly, but it actually was pretty well written. Not as much on the action as I would have liked, but it was a very well written movie, fleshing out the Saiyans. So I could probably do that. I should probably write these down. Um, so yeah, feel free, guys. If you can think of videos you would like me to see, subjects to talk about again, please let me know in the comments. Or because unfortunately, I wish that you put it in the community tab because they don't allow you to message anymore, and I wish that they still did. But yeah, if you guys have ideas for things, for videos you'd like me to see, let me know, or things you think other people like to see. I'll try to do them. Let me know, comments or in the community tab or on my Facebook group or on Twitter. I'll post links there, and you can check out my blog, and you can message me at the website through the Merlin Mighty website at Weebly there. So yeah, just let me know, um, please. Star Wars needs a break, please. I thought Mandalorian, the little bit I saw of it, was good. I need to watch it. Star Wars does need a break though, but are they going to make a break because Disney wants money? I don't know about that. I know I need to watch Shazam. I got so many things I gotta watch. What do I just have to prioritize? I got classes, man. I got work. I got things to do. I also don't care about Captain Marvel. I know that like it's a good movie, but I just never I gotta pick my battles, man. I will watch Shazam. Shazam and Sonic. I guess those two are probably the ones that are the highest on my priorities right now. Kirito from Sword Art Online is OP. I never watched Sword Art Online. I never really had an interest, though I've heard very divisive things about it. But I have heard the character. I heard that it gets loses some of its tension early on, but I could imagine it's OP. They also didn't skip lunch at any cost. Collab back. Oh snap! I'll watch Shazam with you if you like. Great movie. Oh, thanks, Dan. Thanks. Yeah. Seriously, you want to come over? Come over like, I don't know, Monday or something. We'll watch Shazam. Seriously. We'll watch it. Just I feel like that's if I do that, then I'm watching with somebody because otherwise I'll be like loading on my Plex and I have to find time to watch it. And it's like, yeah, we'll try to do that. All right, I'll watch it with Dan. That'll work. Then I could say I watched Shazam finally. And literally, so many people are like, God, why haven't you watched it yet? Come on. Like, fine, watch it. Fine. Seriously, everyone's like, watch it, and I'm sure I'll like it, but damn. Yeah. Anyway, Dan, I will watch it with Dan. Dan will make sure I watch Shazam. That is your job, Dan. Bring it over or something, or watch it. I think I got it here somewhere. I think I'm sure it's on something over here somewhere. I'm sure. Um, how would you have improved the Star Wars sequel trilogy? Oh, these questions. You guys are killing me. I'm glad you're asking the questions, but man, these are some big ones. How would you fix the DCEU? Oh man, how would you fix Star Wars? I would have had probably a plan uh, between a group of people of where the story was going to go, beginning, middle, and end with each movie. And I would have probably kept J.J. Abrams involved with the whole thing. I thought Force Awakens was good because it felt like the original trilogy, but it added things in a new direction, even though it did do a lot of similar things. I think that a lot of the tone and direction of The Last Jedi should have actually been more in the third movie, and they should have kind of pushed things then. I think that I would have divided things more. I think Luke should have gone further into his training with Rey, and I don't mind him wavering with his faith in the light side of the Force. But I do think that Luke Skywalker thinking that seems like a big leap, even for somebody that's struggling, for somebody that literally converted Darth Vader to the good side of the Force because he believed in him after his world being shattered, that the hero he looked up to was like this terrible force of evil. and being able to come back from that himself and turn his father to the good side, to the light side. I'm like, he's gonna go and say, "This person that I'm related to, that I'm training, there's a slight possibility in a vision that he might turn to the dark side, and I'm gonna consider killing him and get to that point." I mean, I could see him failing. I could see him, being sad about that and giving up. I can see that. Yoda did that, but to get to that point, I'll admit this might have been a little more generic. I would have had Luke actually be there. He could project himself. I like that, but I would have had Luke been there. He would have fought Kylo Ren, and Kylo Ren would have killed him. Okay, maybe he would have faded away in the same way. I wanted that. I mean, it was cool, but that would have been real. I think she would not have been a Palpatine. I don't think that was necessary. I don't think she had to have been anybody. I think she could have been her own person. Like, we could have gotten away from the Skywalker stuff instead of doubling back. The whole point of this trilogy was to pass the torch. And I think if they passed the torch more progressively, that would have been fine. All right. Let's see. I really like how Dr. Savannah was remade in the Shazam movie. The camp is removed, but you can see where he's coming from. Dr. Savannah is interesting, and I like the actor they got to play him. I believe that's the guy that plays Merlin in Kingsman, if I'm right, Dan. What is that guy's name? He's a really good guy. Mark Strong. Is it Mark Strong, Dr. Savannah? I love that guy. He's a good actor. So I want to see it. I was like, he's a good casting. He's got the bald head, if I'm right. So yeah. Wait a minute. So he's not campy, but the movie's campier. All right, no problem here. I'm going to be wrapping up soon. Thanks, man. We'll talk soon. We'll do a podcast or a Skype call or something soon. Well, let's plan on it. Um, yeah, man. Let's see. I'm going to wrap it up here, guys, because my voice is going. It's been a long day for me, so I was just out like near Philly today, so I already did a lot. This went very well, but it went on longer than I was expecting. I was thinking like under an hour or something, but you guys were hopping in with the questions, so I'm glad people are still interested in the channel. I'm going to wrap up with these few questions here, and then I'm going to go. Superman. Oh, okay. Let's see here. Superman in the DCU for me is way too damaged of a character right now. Yeah. They could probably fix that. I could understand changing that. Dan's got it on Blu-ray. Bring it. Yes. Monday sounds good, Dan. Let's do it. Let's do Monday. I was going to ask you to come over Monday anyway, so that works out. I figured we could do a podcast or something. Maybe we could do a podcast right away. Just finally Merlin sees Shazam and people can stop bothering me about it. All right. Where did I come up with Merlin the Mighty? I've told this story. 301 Merlino Boss, which is random numbers, and I was really interested in organized crime when I like just studying it, the history of stuff. And so I named myself after a obscure crime boss, which is kind of weird. Nobody got the reference, and it was Merlin was in the name. So people just started calling me Merlin. I'm like, I'll stick with that. And it turned out, I liked fantasy, like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Dungeons and Dragons, stuff like that. And so people just started calling me Merlin, and that was kind of the persona I adopted, like Merlin Reviews, and not necessarily magical, but that's kind of like the mode I go into when I do an analysis review or something sometimes. Though it kind of blends with just Joe now, because I'm just like whatever. Joe loves movies, so there's a couple different series now, and I've even got one DJ Duke from Flamethrowers in Cinema. So there's a couple different ones. Merlin the Mighty is more like, hello, welcome to Merlin Reviews. Today we will be discussing this character. Yu Yu Hakusho is a very popular anime, and then there's the Joe loves movies, which is me, where it's like, I really think this about this movie. So I've got a couple different ones. So Merlin the Mighty is the more analytical, thoughtful wizard of entertainment, I guess. That's kind of what the characters evolve into, mostly because of subscribers, and that's the name. Not the most interesting origin story, but the development of the name is more interesting than the origin of the idea, I think. I'm glad it's different now, because Merlin's mighty, so Merlin the Mighty. I'm still writing a script for an analysis on Feanor and the Silmarils, but it requires so many experts to pull. Are you going to do a video? Do you do videos, Frederick? I forget. If you do, I'll have to check out your channel. Or do you want me to do a video? I could do some Lord of the Rings stuff for you if you want, man. Absolutely. Let me know. But and favorite fictional series lore? Oh man, that's a tough question. I don't know. Man, favorite fictional series lore, like the world? Look, I love Lord of the Rings. I love Mass Effect. I love Dune, Star Trek, Star Wars, Halo, uh, like Dragon Ball, Fullmetal Alchemist. I mean, series lore, Dark Crystal, He Man, the lore, the actual lore though. Like I could really get into the lore. Oh, Marvel, like DC. Oh man, I don't know if I can answer that question. For a whole lore universe, probably one of the big ones like Star Wars or Star Trek. Though I really lately have been into Elder Scrolls, like I really like diving into the Elder Scrolls lore. So I'm gonna say that for now, though that's a really tough question. I might have to get back to you on that. That's a tough question, but we'll say Elder Scrolls for now. That's tough. That's really tough, actually. That's what's yours? Uh, so let's see. Kathleen Kennedy and the guy who did the other movie did a bad job. You can't put it all on one or two people. There's a whole committee. A lot of things go into making a movie. A lot of things go wrong. I know, and I make movies for no budget, and things still go wrong. So I can imagine with a lot of moving parts, it's tough. And I think she's just kind of the person that's taking the shots because she's the face. She's made a lot of good movies. She's produced a lot. I think she had the right intentions. Not right to blame one or two people. I think there's a lot of problems, but I do think that not having a unified idea and sticking with it and trying to just say, let's try and do this without worrying about pleasing everybody like they did with the last movie. It's not a good thing to do. Uh, I prefer DC. It's a hard question. I prefer DC. I've always liked DC's legendary mythological lore and world more, that kind of classic feel of the heroes. But I love Spider-Man and everything around him and X-Men, like the more concentrated ones. That's really tough. That's really tough too. Gonna say DC, but that's very tough. These are tough questions, guys. All right, see you, Dan. I'll see you later for Shazam. All right, I'm going to head off now. Let you know about token related suggestions. All right, okay, everybody. Thank you for sticking around. People are leaving, so am I. My voice is going out, so thank you. This has been a wonderful live stream. I'll try and do one of these again sometime. Um, I've got good night, Sarah. Nice talking to you. I'm gonna have more Joe Loves movies coming up this month. I've got Alien. I'm gonna do Flamethrowers in Cinema is gonna have another one next month in April. I'm planning to do Princess Mononoke. And as far as that goes, there might be some other podcasts or other reviews for things. I'll let you know. Uh, most likely. If you have any suggestions for videos, character analysis, or things you'd like me to discuss or talk about, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the community tab, my Facebook group, on Twitter. Go to my website. I'll put all the links in here. Um, yeah, appreciate everybody hanging out and contributing. Good questions, good conversation. Let's do it again sometime. All right, everybody. Stay magical.